Good afternoon, everyone. So, maybe tired? No. But there is no option. Option in the sense when to discuss, if we have to have discussion, isn't it? So, we decided to have discussion just after test paper, although it can be scheduled after that also, but you can still work hard, isn't it? So, discussion is just to tell how you can further improve, if at all there is any scope left. As far as questions are concerned, explanations are, so you know already explanations given. If you go and check through your QR code and scan it, details of explanations you will get. So already we have given the explanation. It is also uploaded on portal and it will be also mailed and message, I guess, so you can get access to those explanations. We will just add in that a bit that how we can further improve your attempts of the questions. Largely suppose you do not know. Because knowledge has limitation. You cannot know each and everything. In this UPSC, you cannot know each and everything. It has limitation. You have to use your intelligence, common sense, and also called elimination. How you can eliminate. Many a time a question, even if you do not know, and if it is a very difficult question, but if you read the options, by options it gets eliminated. Hence, we should never worry, take tension about the nature of question paper. That is not your role to think about. Your role is when you come in the class or when you appear in UPSC, your task is to see the paper and solve it. Your role is not to think about nature of paper that time. Which type of paper it is, this and that. I still remember one student, very old, 10 years back story, who got 144 rank, now SP in Madhya Pradesh. So he shared once that how is the paper? Means generally we ask, isn't it? How is the paper? So by readings, let's say that only prelims oriented, you cannot have reached to that kind of question. And they have asked such types of questions in past. Anyhow, let's say if you apply your sense, common sense understanding, if you have certain level of knowledge that the first two commissions were set up on center-state relations, the last two are not especially meant for center-state relations. Hence, last two options will have less possibility. Now, in that also, Sarkaria Commission, time to time it remains in news, not Punchi Commission, means this is Punchi Commission. So, when second Central State Relation Commission, which we speak as Madan Mohan Punchi Commission. So, it is not as much in news as Sarkaria Commission. And whenever this like governor role is going on, Maharashtra role is going on, if you are reading newspaper, so at times it is published in newspaper, the orders given by Sarkaria Commission. And in that order, Sarkaria Commission has never mentioned about any pre-poll alliance as party, or he does not talk about pre-poll alliances. He talks only about after elections, if there is hung parliament. So after elections, what should be the priority, which is largest party, then coalition, then support from inside, support from outside. The four such possibilities. So that knowledge if you use, then you should come to this first option. Because the last two, they have not talked about this role of governor, and in case of hung assembly, which parties should be invited. And that is how, I will say, without exactly knowing. Now you will read Punchi Commission. When you will read Punchi Commission to answer that type of question, so it's not guaranteed that the source you are reading, in that will be given. It is not also guaranteed. It means that knowledge may not help. Yes, a certain level of knowledge what we expect is, at least you should be aware, which is time to time in news, that the Sarkaria Commission has given 4 such orders. And in those 4 orders, we don't find that People Alliance will be considered as a party. This. So that way we can eliminate, although time to time this has remained in news since 2005 and 6, Bihar Hung Assembly. Since then it has remained in news that whether People Alliance we should consider as a single party, or when we have been studying on defections, you may have come to know that whether we should consider People Alliance as a party or not. And that is how we can consider, plus explanation given, Punchi Commission, you can read it. It gave A, B, C. C is nothing but Sarkariya Commission recommendation. The Punchi Commission has given 3 such order. In that 3 order, 3rd order is considered C. It is in that it has simply incorporated 4 orders of Sarkariya Commission. The first 2 orders are, the first A is any such possibility to form the government, and second in that it has referred that People Alliance should be considered as a party, and that is how it should have been addressed. Then let's take this second question. In second question, there is one statement which is tricky, otherwise the 3 statements are very obvious. No, suppose you see and you get a bit confused that what we should have option. So at least you should have, we expect you should have knowledge about definition of Gram Sabha, which has been also asked as a question. At that level of knowledge we expect a person should have knowledge, he can know what is the definition of Gram Sabha. It is the definition of Gram Sabha, it is correct. B is a tricky one, this which you can skip and you can read C, and you know that yes, it is a general statement, general nature, generic type. So when it is a generic type, it may be correct, because yes, Gram Sabha is a deliberative body. Anyone who has studied local bodies properly, he can know that. You can eliminate this, and it is also correct, yes, it is embodiment of grassroots. So you don't have to read this B at all. You have to simply eliminate A, C and D. So B is the option, isn't it? Can we say? Right. It is a state legislature which assigns, not a state government. This. It is the state legislature which assigns powers to local bodies, not state government. There is a difference between a state legislature and a state government. Right? Anyhow, right. Now, this is a question कि ये तो bouncer है, right? It demands a bit knowledge, let's say. So, because something, let's say, it is related to the developments in the present government. Only one option you can eliminate, that is called Vice Chairperson of Niti Aayog. So you know that he is given status of cabinet rank. But other three are very confusing, isn't it? So in this question, it is a question which you can skip if you want to, although in UPSC you will say, here you should not skip, isn't it? Because as far as your knowledge is concerned, you will think a cabinet secretary is superior to the first 2. This is how you know that. The cabinet secretary is superior to the first 2. Yes, it was till 2019. Right. But you know that कि nowadays, हालांकि ये discussion है, इसमें हम बहुत ज़्यादा बोल नहीं सकते, but nowadays we tell कि we need new teachers to teach polity. Right. So because things are changing. First time government has given status of cabinet rank to National Security Advisor and Principal Secretary Advisor and Deputy Principal Secretary Advisor. This. So why government has given? Because they are the, let's say, main, let's say, think tank of the government. They play a very important, you know that the government depends more on PMO plus bureaucrats. So since it depends more on PMO and bureaucrats, because of that you should know that. And 5 persons or 4 persons play important role in present government. External Affairs Minister, Niti Aayog Vice Chairperson, National Security Advisor and Principal Secretary. Hence, to avoid any conflict between them, government has given all cabinet rank status. This and that way they have become superior to cabinet secretary, which is very difficult to understand. Right. And that's why it is this D option which is incorrect, means let's say does not enjoy. Cabinet secretary comes in table of precedence at 11th position with Attorney General, and they come under 7th position.
Was there any strong reason for scrapping the cabinet status, cabinet secretary?
No, cabinet secretary does not have cabinet minister rank.
You said from 2019 onward.
2019 onwards they have changed. They did not enjoy cabinet rank status. They enjoy just secretary status. Their status was secretary to government of India. 2019 government has given them status of cabinet rank, including deputy principal secretary. This. So here elimination technique will not work. Anyhow, let's take that. This. In this question, yes. In this question, if you talk, so first question is correct. Anyone can guess, isn't it? First option. The first option means B. You don't have to attempt. Now, second may less number of people may be knowing it is standing committee, or you know it. If you know it, it is good. If you know second, so first, second. Again, it does not help anyway. Probably, let's say in this question, the problem is between two, let's say that three. It is 3 or 4. This is how. You have to take a call. Guessing plus risk. Because very less people will know that it is secretariat is also secretariat to zonal council, which was done in 2011. This. And it is recommendatory if you know this. So that's why 1, 2, 4 we have given, isn't it? 1, 2, 4 is given, that is also the option. Right. So this, or let's say that it is all 1, 2, 3, all are correct. It demanded a bit in-depth knowledge basically. Right. Then if you know in this third one and first one, so the answer is ready. And that much basic knowledge to we expect there are 6 such minority communities. Kaise decide what I forget about this? Right, because if you know first and 3, the answer is ready. Can we say? Yes. Notification is done by the government. Yes. It is notified by the government. Yes. So recently it is in news also. You know that government has taken this issue that whether we should Hindu should be also given minority in the states where they are in minority. That has given rise to this kind of question. So that is how you should have known by this, right? Because it is incorrect. If it is incorrect, so you are left with 2 and 3 option. This, the 3 is correct. This is how it is. Then this it is a factual question. It is in news. You see the from model answer or the answer given. It is a bit interesting question. No. So first and 2 you will be clear. किसी भी अपॉइंटमेंट में इंटीग्रिटी होता ही होगा, isn't it? And merit seniority you know, the first 2 से कुछ मिलने वाला है, नहीं मिलने वाला है. So still you are not getting, isn't it? So if you have seen recent time appointments, the 3 women judges were, let's say that appointed, means 3 women have been appointed. First time it has happened. That news, gender aspect. So there were articles also related to gender aspect. So that could have made you also third option, fourth option. No. Fourth option. So if you know first, two and fourth, so D is the option. You don't have to know about third. Isn't it? See, इसका कोई मतलब नहीं है, करेक्ट है कि नहीं, इसलिए ऑप्शन में ऐसा कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है. If you are done with 1 and 2 and 4, so this is the one. This, that way it can be corrected. This. Anyhow. Yes.
Has been taken this time into consideration, but it's not a rule in general to take gender diversity and social diversity.
Yes.
It has been to go against it or not following.
Yes, yes.
मतलब अभी का अभी ये 3 वुमेन दे जा रहे हैं, अभी तक तो ये हुआ नहीं ना, कहीं पे लिखा के ऐसा होना. So as per constitution or you say any convention, we should not go for 4.
We should not go for 4. Then question is correct. Question is itself incorrect. Can we say? Mm-hmm. See, the question is that in appointment, let's say Supreme Court, which factors are taken into consideration? Try to understand. What factors we take into consideration while appointing? According to?
Last time we are doing the CBI told the same, all factors are considered.
Yes, that is what we are also saying. See, you are talking about seat distribution, number of judges. We are talking about appointment, not number, percentage. Right. Your question is related to how many number of judges as per the gender. It is related to appointment, which factors we take. It is a general criteria. The question is saying ki factors that we take into consideration. The factors means it is a very general standard. Right. It is not, we should have mentioned qualification also. No, we are not writing qualification. That qualification is mentioned 5 years of judge and 10 years of advocate. It takes factors into consideration. This, from that perspective. Right.
One more kind of diversity is added.
So added, it's not only written, isn't it? Right. If it is written, right, which are the only factors taken into consideration, so then we will give.
Gender diversity has been already considered as a factor to recognize that. Then why the women's judges are still less?
But ये question का part नहीं है. It is not part. See, question is based on contemporary developments. Try to understand. Questions are depicting contemporary developments. In recent times, Supreme Court has released a statement of regions first time. And a statement of regions in that since 2017, they are taking into consideration these factors also in appointment of judges. This is how it is. So, no need to make that what you are thinking the way. Anyhow, this is a simple question, isn't it? Simple one, can we say? Yes? First is simple, second is not. Bit of tricky. Nominated members are appointed on the advice of both sides, Prime Minister in means Council of Ministers at union level also, at state level by Council of Ministers. It is correct. It is not the discretion of President or Governor to nominate the members. President also nominate the members of Rajya Sabha, 12 members on the advice of Council of Ministers. And similarly, Governor will also appoint on the basis of advice rather than his discretion. This. So that way you should have taken. So can nominate certain members legislative council as per his discretion? No. The only one is correct. Yes? Parliament can create legislative for a state through the adoption of resolution, right, passed by simple majority, right. It is wrong. Yes, can create by, the process is not properly mentioned. This you can say that. The first is not showing the process properly, right. It is the parliament which, let's say by act of parliament it is created or provided that the legislative council has adopted a resolution and that resolution is sent to the president. And through that it is created. That we can consider. This question, it is based on current? No. So have you marked correct? See, bill is dead means whether you would withholding is also an act of dead. When bill is with governor or president, when they withhold bill, the bill dies there, the life of the bill ends. This is how it means. The life of the bill ends. Governor has withheld the bill, this same thing, rejected the bill, same thing. The first three are correct. So if first three are correct, why to read the D1? You should be just confident. Yes, first three are correct. The D don't need read, just mark it. Then, a similar bill cannot be reintroduced. It can be introduced. When president withholds the bill dies there, but again the bill can be introduced by the government. There is no any such bar on that. However, we have not used the same bill can be again introduced. We have used similar. Right. Similar means ki that bill will not exactly be same. It can have some minor changes. Yes. So that way also it is right. So this is how D option is should have taken that. It is the simplest question. No. So ऐसा भी question होना चाहिए, isn't it? You have marked correct all. It's Canadian system, isn't it? Right. Anyhow, this simple. You have marked correct the option. Right. So you cared it. Supremacy of judiciary तो होगा नहीं. Isn't it? So in such questions, suppose you do not know, you are not confident about the first three. So you should be confident about this. So you don't have to read much the first three, you should simply, supremacy of judiciary to hoga nahi. There is no any such system that we have to maintain supremacy of judiciary, rather we have to maintain independence of judiciary. A bit tricky one, no. Isn't it? Doctrine of harmonious construction. First you may be knowing, first if you know harmonious construction, so first you may be knowing the challenge is in second. Right. And that also, let's say that it is basically harmonious construction is when there is a law. In that law there are various sections. The various sections, whether the various sections are in harmony with each other or they conflict. When they conflict, how can we create harmony in them? So suppose code goes on striking one may result into striking another also. So code will have to see the law in a holistic sense. The doctrine of harmonious construction is about holistic aspect of the law, not discernibility. The discernibility is a severability, let's say, doctrine of severability that applies. If you know doctrine of severability and doctrine of harmonious construction, so you may have taken in a bit consideration on this. This is not a correct language. This and that way you should have eliminated it. Although it is a bit, yes, tricky, as well as you need to know more finer aspect of what is harmonious construction, which you can further read explanation, you can see that. You know international relation better, so you can guess it. No, you don't know. Lisbon Treaty was in 2007 proposed, done 2008, so it is not, it is Maastricht Treaty which was done in 2009, means 1993. And that's why it is not correct. The first two are, let's say, second is correct option. So that way it will be, so first is not correct, so option B. Factual question, if you know, NATO is in news also, so from that you should take. Anyhow, this question, so so you know the pairs, any pair? You don't know any single pair, right? Second is related to delimitation, right? क्या हम जान सकते थे, right? If you are reading newspaper nowadays etc. तो bill old pension system तो जान सकते थे आप. This now for Amitabh Kant is CEO of this Niti Ayog, so he cannot become head of the committee itself. Conflict of interest. Apply common sense, right? A member of the body cannot himself become head of a committee of that body, right? This you keep in your mind. तो ये तो होगा रे, बाकी दो आपको आता नहीं है. ठीक है. So still it is difficult to, right? Right. Anyhow, if you read newspaper, let's say that, if you read newspaper properly, newspaper अगर आप पढ़ते हो seriously, so basically let's say that कि Sinno committee is related to economic based reservation. It is a committee which was constituted on economic based reservation, which gave its 2011 or 12 recommendation. It gave recently when EWS judgment has been given, so if you have read it properly, so it could have come in that time. This, and it is also a category, let's say categorization. This, so first, I guess, first pair and second pair, two pairs are correct. Which option is given? Only one. So it is KG Balkrishna is set up or not on scheduled caste, it is only on scheduled caste, not scheduled tribe. This. So the last three are not correct because it was only related to scheduled caste. It is related to economic based reservation, and it is related to, you can see in answer, it is something else. Restructuring on Niti Ayogs, that is related to Janul Abdin committee or council. Sorry, it is panel. Let's say Janul Abdin panel. It was set up on restructuring of Niti Ayog, which has recently submitted reports. Recent means 4 or 5 months back. So if you are reading newspapers, so you could have known, because we have only one Niti Ayog, isn't it? And there is a talk for its restructuring. So that way you could have eliminated, although these pairs type of question demand that you should know all 4, not 1 and 2. This. And simple question, right? You can eliminate yourself. फान से कोई हमारा डिफेंस इस तरह का टॉक होता नहीं है, वैसे ही अच्छा रिलेशन है तो टॉक की क्या जरूरत है, isn't it? Anyhow, so right, 2 plus 2, right? Then my section ends. Right? Lakshmikant will take your discussion. Anyhow, what we can say is that by this you can know कि can you have made 1, 2 more correct by the same knowledge? This. So I teach, I tell that confidence you should have. Paper when you get, don't panic. This, any paper, anytime when you give, prelims, mains, whatever. This, there are, in addition to or apart from knowledge, there are other factors which you can outcompete others. Knowledge का तो हमेशा limitation रहेगा. This you should know, right? But if you apply more your common sense, intelligent mind, how to eliminate, as you know that, some options, Plus, don't give in or give up to any situation, so then you can do better than others. Good afternoon, everyone. So, how are you? Fine or not fine? Fine. So, it's very tiresome practice to first appear in test, then to attend discussion. Yes, because there are also suggestions to have discussion after one day, but I guess that will be even more difficult because you have to come 2 times for discussion if you want to attend in offline. And given the prelims near, like just it is going to be, so your time is very important. So we do not have option. Means some people suggested today that keep discussion one day after test. But I guess we will not continue means that way. Discussion will be held on the test day itself, isn't it? It is a bit tiresome for you, but anyhow you are young and you can do that. And UPSC demands hard work. This. So if you are motivated, concerned about UPSC, you want to compete, so hardly it will be. You can have that potential to appear in test also and attend discussion also, isn't it? Anyhow, I'll take the polity section, and last time I was not present, so it was taken by Lakshmi, and if you see the questions, so I guess in this you may have doubt between gender budget and outcome budget, because both are 2 new developments, and demands for grants, expenditure profile, so you may be aware. So you could have taken a call, isn't it? And that's why we have asked this question. So there is a list of documents presented along with budget, and outcome budget has been also included in this. Outcome budget was introduced in 2005 and 6, and since 2007 and 8 it is presented along with budget. Since we have FRBM Act also, so FRBM Act related to macro fiscal statement is also presented. So in explanation also we have given, or if you read Lakshmikant's, it is also given. Gender budget is not yet a practice to present along with budget. There is gender budgeting that was also introduced in 2005, but gender budget statement is not yet presented with budget. Rather, government comes with gender budget statement while budget session is going on. This. So, correct here option would be gender budget. We do not present. We present the first 3. Plus, there is also list of documents. You can see this. Then, this is a question we try to ask from evolution section. And I guess the idea of good government is related with responsible government. So I guess this option you may have done correct. No. Which option you have done? C. The C option, isn't it? Correct. Merely changing designation does not make good government. Merely Queen taking over does not make also good government. So merely a formality does not make it unless there is any substantial development. So on that basis you can see this. And same thing about D. So option C is correct option. So it is this which made Act of 1858 as good government, isn't it? Then another, let's say, subjective question and yes,
How is sir?
fine. So in this option, what you did, which option you went for? D. See, first three are very clear if you have read properly evolution and making of constitution. If you have read seriously making of constitution. So in that, you also read that why Indian constitution is a lengthy constitution. Why it is a very big constitution. So there are set of reasons given if you are reading it. And one is that ours is a transitional society. When it is a transitional society, so many things you have to write what we have to do. And that's why they have been mentioned in the constitution. This plus vastness of the country, let's say diversity, etc. related. And detail, ours is a constitution which mentions both what government should do and what government should not do. Generally, constitutions are written about what government should not do rather than what government should do. Ours is a constitution which gives details about machineries of the government, including administration, like UPSC type of institution. You have a set of articles related to UPSC. Hardly any constitution talks about such kind of institutions, be it CAG, be it Election Commission, be it UPSC, etc. So details of the machineries. So that is how borrowing, anyone can borrow. Nepal can also borrow, which has written just constitution. So borrowing is a subjective thing now, isn't it? You can borrow from 2-3 constitution, you can borrow from 10 constitution, you can borrow from 100 constitution. But act of borrowing can be lengthy also, act of borrowing may not be lengthy also. The borrowing does not necessarily indicate lengthy aspect of constitution. And that is how option D is here, let's say that. It is asking not a major factor, so option D is not a major factor. It depends on overall knowledge related to state institutions, isn't it? So there is one exception, and that exception is the State Information Commission. All other such bodies, President is the removal authority. Be it State Human Rights Commission, State Public Service Commission, State Administrative Tribunal. So President is the removal authority. It is State Information Commission which Governor himself removes members and chairperson of State Information Commission. Why it has been done, there is no answer on that. Exception is exception. There is one more exception related to State Election Commission. The State Election Commission, there is exception that State Election Commission would also be removed by legislature, means parliament. The way Election Commission is removed. The President also does not remove State Election Commission. So that way this questions, it's the C option. A bit knowledge, this is how you know that. It is more knowledge based question on PIL, which legality hardly, let's say. So legality is that if you know, forget about knowledge, if you know first statement, you can solve this.
Local standard does not apply to PIL.
Yes. Locus, yes?
They cannot relax it if it doesn't apply.
No, it is relaxed, that's why it does not apply.
सर ऑलरेडी कंडीशन होती है ना पीआर में कि लोकल स्टैंडिंग होगी अगर ये नहीं होगा तो पीआर फाइल हो नहीं सकती है
Right. What is locus standi then?
The person who is making the litigation has to be present inside the person.
Blood relation. See, locus standi means that in any person who is aggrieved, he himself represent in the court. This is called locus standi. Right. Any aggrieved person, aggrieved under law, and if he wants to have any adjudication in the court, he is the person who represents himself. Right. This is how it is. Now in PIL, even if I am the aggrieved person, but you can file PIL on my behalf. This is how it was relaxed. Right. So it is just other way around. The way you are saying, it is just other way around. Right. PIL was relaxed in SP Gupta case by PN Bhagwati Bhir Krishna bench. This means locus standi is this, कि a third party can file case in the court on behalf of an aggrieved party. This. Otherwise, only aggrieved parties approach court. And this aggrieved party you approach, and you can, let's say that, have any relation with that aggrieved party, like say he is a blood relation. So on that aggrieved party, let's say someone can represent, but it is that aggrieved person who is representing, not a third party. But let's say a newspaper report is written, and that newspaper report becomes basis for PIL in the court, and aggrieved party is hardly aware. Aggrieved party is not appearing. Rather, it is the newspaper report which becomes basis for PIL in the court. So this is relaxing locus standi. Right. It is just other way around basically. So if you read it properly, PIL. So PIL, that is a debate. That is how the present government has argued in the court that we should done away with this. When Tushar Mehta told before Supreme Court that PIL has become professional shops, self-employed professional shops. So basically government is saying that we should revisit SP Gupta and we should follow what was before SP Gupta. This. But that is, let's say, part of your men's debate. Forget about this. What we can say is PIL, locus standi was relaxed for PIL, for public interest. This we can say. And it is done, if it is, so now 1 and 4 option. If 1 is correct, so A and D. Now you have to take a call. Right. Okay, it is incorrect. When it is incorrect, so 1 is correct. If 1 is correct, so it is B and C. If let's say that you decide on this only जहाँ पे होता है वो थोड़ा सा right. So only नहीं हो सकता है. So basically let's say PIL can be filed in lower court also, not only in High Court and Supreme Court. Its PIL can be filed in a district court also. Like section 133 of Criminal Procedure Code 1973. As per section 133 of Criminal Procedure Code 1973, a PIL can be filed in the district court, and that district court can issue an order. Basically it is related to public nuisance. If anyone is creating public nuisance, a third party can go and file a PIL. Now, the difference between PIL filed in a district court and High Court is that whatever the fate of the decision in district court, appeal does not go in High Court. The matter ends there itself. But if you file PIL in High Court, whatever the decision given by the High Court, if you want to appeal against that decision, then you can go to Supreme Court. So local courts have not yet been properly recognized by the legal system because there is no any law related to PIL. It has evolved just judicial innovation. But still there is a possibility of filing PIL in district court as per section 133 of Criminal Procedure Code. That's why it is incorrect. So 2 is incorrect. So obvious that it is B option. isn't it? Although I will tell that the purpose of giving this question is to give you this knowledge. Many a time we give questions, not only that UPSC will ask, just it is a legal knowledge about PIL, it will help you understanding or clearing your understanding related to PIL. This. So this and suo motu it can happen. Or suppose you know fourth, you can eliminate it, this and this. Because suo motu why you may be aware that this court can take PIL as suo motu basis. So that way also you should have eliminated 2 and this. So then you have to decide on first. If you decide on first, you are clear. So then it should have been B option, even if you do not know. Even if you do not know clearly, still you could have eliminated, or it can be eliminated by this, because we were certainly expecting this one. This SP Gupta case. And you read it again if it is not clear. Anyhow, so a bit first one, if you have read 5 types of writs, if you analyze the 5 types of writs, all the 5 writs in the end it is written that it is not applied to private individuals. The only writ which is applied to private individuals related to habeas corpus, because it is related to liberty. The protection of liberty can be against any individual. And B also, you know, no, B is also clear. So far, Parliament has not empowered any court except High Court and Supreme Court for writs. Parliament is empowered to, means Parliament has this power to empower any such courts apart from Supreme Court and High Court to issue writs. This knowledge you may have, isn't it? It is from the Constitution itself. Right. Not from the, see, it is first from the Constitution. After all, Article 32 we will enforce how? To enforce 32 you have to issue writs. The writs have been adopted. This we can say. So that way we can consider first it is the Constitution. Article 32 and 226. This, and then it comes Parliament when you have to empower any other court for issuing writs. So that way it is. Anyhow, so again it demands a bit of collective knowledge. No. Let's take that key. At least you may be clear about judges. The judges cannot take up any employment after retirement, except they can, let's say that, they can have legal practice in the court they do not belong. They have not served. So they cannot take up any employment. There is restriction. CAG also there is restriction. If you are aware about CAG and how Binod Rai, etc. debate started, and when he was made chairperson of Bank Board Bureau, if you have some past knowledge. Anyhow, if you have read UPSC also, so if you read UPSC articles, it is written that they cannot take up after retirement any employment except member can become chairman. Isn't it? The member is not retiring yet. Still he has the time left of 65 years or 65 years of age. A member will retire only completion of 65 years of age. So a member can serve as a chairperson. If he retires, so he is also he cannot take. Anyhow, I guess he should have eliminated. Is it like that? Have you? Which option you have done? D. Judges can take employment. Right. Employment in Government of India. This you have to understand. So as far as employment in Government of India, so those constitutional positions are not considered statutory employment. This, even if they are taking post-retirement benefit. This.
Sir, 1,000 लोगों के post in the Rajya Sabha. So it's not
Right. See, getting appointed again, it is not an employment. Getting elected as a member of legislature is not employment. This. So from that perspective.
Chairman of this Human Rights Commission.
Right. Yes.
Judges are allowed to do that.
This, they can hold those positions, but they are not presumed as employment in Government of India. Yes. Right. Yes. Yes, they are receiving the payment even they are appointed as governor. But governor is also not considered employment under Government of India.
The political post is okay. This
No, governor is not political post. Try to understand. It is a constitutional position. Right. It is a constitutional provision. Right. So, if you read the conditions of services written about judges, so it is written that after retirement they should not take up any employment in Government of India. This, except they can have a legal practice. And that legal practice is that they can have legal practice only in the court where they have not served as judge. This. But in case of election commission, there is no any such bar. Right. After retirement, you can take up any such employment in Government of India. This. Conditions of service have not been clearly stated for election commission. But for others, conditions of services have been clearly stated. On that basis, you can say. So D option is the correct one. Anyhow, we wanted to ask a question related to term of reference or let's say formula of the Finance Commission. Generally, a question is asked or has been asked in past if you see related to Finance Commission. It can be term of reference or it can be let's say additional term of reference. First time we have tried to ask from formula since 15th Finance Commission remain controversial and it will remain till let's say 2026 because you are not going to constitute any other Finance Commission. So we have tried to play with formula and the parameters. So in that, let's say basically new parameter is demographic performance. It was a simple question if you have gone through the formula of 15th Finance Commission, isn't it? Because income distance is used by the other, let's say that it is a traditional parameter, area is also a traditional parameter and tax efforts are also traditional parameters. 11th, 12th, 13th Finance Commissions have used tax efforts and even 15th Finance Commission has also been, let's say it has also used tax effort. So demographic performance was the option in this question. This, and that is how you should have solved this. Means it has two important, let's say three important aspects if you talk 15th Finance Commission. One that its census 2011 has been used for the first time. Generally 1971 census was the basis for population consideration. Second is that demographic performance and ecology and environment. The third one. Why ecology and environment and demographic performance it has used? Because census 2011 if you use, so northern states will gain more and southern states will lose on that because they have stabilized their population. Hence it has to come up with some other parameters which can result into southern states gaining and northern states losing on that. So on ecology, environment and demographic performance they will gain and northern states will lose. So it is a sort of balancing act. And that is how the purpose of this question. Simple question? No. So, who did not, let's say, did not go by this option A? Anyone who has done any other option? Right. Which option? Right. Why? Why you did B?
I haven't remembered.
Okay, you do not remember it.
I had a confusion what are A and B. So
A and B. Any other person who did not go for A? Because we want to know how you, let's say, your.
In parliament proceeding, in the house is adjournment, say try many times by speaker. At that time they close parliament.
Matlab house adjournment you are taking as adjournment motion. Right, yes.
Because speaker
Yes, got it. What he was saying. See, adjourning house is one thing, right? And adjournment motion is another thing. Isn't it? You should know that UPSC has asked this adjournment motion prelim question. Are you aware? You do not solve UPSC papers then. UPSC has asked 3 years back adjournment motion in prelims question. Yes. And budget list of documents presented, that is also question asked in past. Anyhow, see, it is a substantial motion. So when it is a substantial motion, so it demands support. So anyone who knows about motions, let's say types of motions, even a general knowledge, so he can eliminate because the last 3 are substantial motions. And it is very narrow, general type of, simple type of motion, calling attention. It does not demand any kind of prior support of members. But all the, let's say, last 3 will demand prior support of 110 members. That is how it is.
sir, when is adjournment motion called? What is the condition for it? Condition for adjournment motion?
Condition is first written itself. It should have 110 support.
What is the criteria? Like for example, censuring is to censure a minister. No confidence is like no confidence in the house. What is the condition for adjournment motion?
very important issue.
Right.
When does this happen?
It happens when any such matter is of public importance, which is substantial in nature, that you can have minimum 2.5 hours discussion. Matter should be so much important that minimum 2.5 hour discussion you can have on that, and then you want to bring this motion with a prior support of 1/10, then it will be accepted.
Basically, the normal proceeding of the house will adjourn and they will discuss this matter.
Once it is accepted,
Post
Even after 1/10 of support, method cannot be taken.
it depends on the speaker of the house. That is how acceptance. Suppose you have 110 support, you bring this motion in the house and house does not accept it. The motion will be rejected there itself. It depends on the house whether it accepts the motion, especially the speaker.
So after the 1/10 majority, does the speaker have discretion to carry it forward in front of them?
See, you are not understanding. See, why to go into this? Why to make things so disordered, confusing? Any such proposal which is brought in the house, it is subject to speaker decision, right? Whether he accepts it or not. If his speaker accepts, then motion is accepted. Once motion is accepted, then the house will function as per the conditions of the adjournment motion. The conditions, first condition is normal business of the house is withheld, and the matter which is of public importance is taken up for discussion. When there is a discussion and you have, means house is under proceeding, then a speaker has no discretion. Right? The discussion will continue as long as the house decides. That is how the condition, right? Anyhow, factual question and plus based on why we have kept some options. So, which option, by the way, you have gone? Right. Anyone who has gone by option A? Right. Option A. Right. Incorrect. Option A is incorrect. Who has gone by option A? Anyone who has gone by? Yes. Why you have gone by option A?
So previously also that
In India. First time India is presiding and holding the conference in Delhi. It is first time it is happening, isn't it? तो पहले कभी हुआ ही नहीं है ऐसा. Anyhow, it is the ministry website details. This is how according to this. Why Delhi we gave? Because people know Srinagar. The idea behind giving Delhi was this कि श्रीनगर का नाम ज़्यादा चल रहा है. तो अगर if people have not read it seriously, so they will think it is happening in Srinagar, not in Delhi. Because ये न्यूज़ में ही नहीं है कि G20 meeting is going to be held in Delhi. No, Srinagar is more under focus, not Delhi. That was the idea behind asking this statement. Then this it depends on your knowledge. Do you have knowledge कि how G20 was found? Yes, finance ministers, let's say, ministers level. That is how B option is incorrect. No. Now anyone who has gone by C and D, anyone who has gone by C, right? Why? See, C is a generic statement. Generally, generic statement goes correct.
G20 meeting is decided by the SERPA and head of state like head of state is president is also part of government, whatever.
But that is not part of the question.
Option B is correct, right?
This G20 was established at the level of heads of the state and government. G20 was established at the level of ministerial, at ministerial level, not heads of the state. Right? Getting? Right. Was established. It is not that meeting is conducted. This. So anyone who has read G20, you know background of G20. So then you will know the option B. Otherwise, if you have not known the background, you will not know it. C is a generic statement. It should be correct, let's say that. You should not go by C. Because certainly it is a forum for economic cooperation. Isn't it? And once you are, let's say, done with this demands a bit of information, let's say. Basically it is correct, this. So why we have asked this option? Basically other options are also there. You should know that G20 does not have its own secretariat. Right. Generally, let's say when any such international organization or institution, multilateral platform is established, it has its own headquarters or secretariat, but G20 does not have its secretariat. Hence, the secretarial assistance is provided by 3 countries. The secretarial type of assistance provided by 3 countries. One, that is the existing president, that is Indonesia. Preceding, that was this Brazil, and now succeeding, that is India. So as of now, it is Indonesia which is its presiding head. But when meeting will start, then India will start presiding. This. So, and it will preside till next meeting, let's say. When next meeting will be held, another country will preside. So idea behind this, we could have asked this also, it does not have its own secretariat. But we did not ask this. Rather, we went by this statement, that Indonesia, India, right, and Brazil, let's say, so it is a correct statement. So basically, you should read G20 properly because it is a major conference that's also happening in India. One question we ask in second Panchsutra, that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Maha Upanishad. So you did it correct? Right. So we ask in a way 2 questions we have asked because we find it a bit interesting also when Maha Upanishad plus conference, its theme. So you should know it, and the ministry website gives proper details. That can be the source to know it. Anyhow, a bit complex question and tricky question. Oh, have you done it correct? Which option you have gone? C, B, and C. Right. C, B, B and C. Right. Now, this question will also test you how you read current developments. Do you read very seriously, or you just have a glassing over on that? This, because the main debate has been on disqualification. Right. How he is disqualified, forget about this now. Main debate is that he has been disqualified. So you should know that, because nowadays questions are very legal, technical, very sharp. They are not general, let's say that. So now Parliament also adopted a right. One notification was issued by Parliament, and that news you may have read more than when he was convicted by a court. So it can be in your mind that Parliament also issued a notification. It's Secretary General. It means that disqualification happened when notification is issued. But it is not like that. If you have read seriously that news, so disqualification in such case starts when the judgment is written. The time judgment is written, right? That is how the time and date the disqualification starts. No, let me explain it. Let me explain. So, disqualification starts from when the judgment is pronounced and written. That day itself it starts. And you don't need to bring any type of notification by Secretary General or anything to disqualify that. The judgment itself becomes basis for disqualification. Notification by Secretary General of Lok Sabha is a formality. It is a formality. It has no legal basis. So that is how the disqualification. And then this we have written, disqualification starts from this, and this when 2 or more are convicted. So that is how option this, as per this written, this is how the option. But let me say what it is saying. Which of the following is correct? Right. Now, if you take option A, how it is not correct option. So disqualification is suspended if the higher court has stayed the sentence. Now, sentence of the convict. If you have read again this debate, so there were debates on 2 aspects, sentence and conviction. There are differences between sentence and conviction, staying sentence and staying conviction. Right. When conviction is stayed, then disqualification is stayed. But when only sentence is stayed, disqualification continues. Right. What is the difference between sentence stay and conviction stay? When you stay sentence, it means conviction continue, means he has been convicted, you only, let's say, sentence that he should be disqualified. So you may, let's say, that he execute it today or tomorrow. This. And that was clarified by Supreme Court in one case in 2007. The difference between sentence and conviction. Now he has appealed in High Court. Suppose High Court stays conviction, then he will be revived. His membership will be revived. But High Court just stay again sentence. Right. The sentence means, let's say, the court is hearing the case. Whatever the sentence has been given, it is hearing. The court is staying it and it is hearing. As far as his disqualification is concerned, he is disqualified. So there is a difference between sentence. That was a tricky aspect of present, let's say, debate. Other things are just, here and there things. This, it is just a formality, has no meaning, and you cannot bring, let's say, that ki special session for one person. Right? Option D is not.
Debate that the notification has been issued because in the next budget session he was not supposed to speak. So अगर वो notification नहीं आता तो stand होकर वो बोल सकते थे budget parliament. तो 2 महीने
No, that is speaking, whether you are speaking or not, that is different thing. We are talking about disqualification. When disqualification starts, right? It does not start with when notification is issued. अभी तो मान लो बजट सेशन था तो आपने दूसरे दिन नोटिफिकेशन इशू कर दिया. मान लो बजट सेशन 2 महीना के बाद है, फिर क्या करेंगे? What you are giving the statement, so it is based on situational aspect. Coincidentally, there is a budget session. But suppose this judgment has come in May today and budget session has ended and House is adjourned. Now it will meet in monsoon session. Right. So will there be notification and this? So that is, these are formality basically. They are not legality. Yes. Yes, you want to speak anything?
Sir, is there a condition like if you have done a crime जिसका award 2 साल से ऊपर का है लेकिन आपको जज ने कम सेंटेंस दिया
देखो वो अलग इशू है.
वो इसके
No, now you are talking quantum of punishment. But this is not the question. Should we give 2 years of punishment? We should not give 2 years of punishment. That let the court decide. This is not the question. Disqualification happen only when you have minimum 2 years or more conviction.
if the conviction is of 2 years or more उसको if the crime which you have committed carries the award which is minimum 2 years.
देखो, that is not the point. Crime you have committed, that is 2 or more years. That's why court has given punishment. But this is not the question. Right. It is related to court.
What about 6 years of not, we can't contest the election from the date of conviction? There is a rule called
Yes, yes.
we can't contest the election for the next 6 years. So
Yes, he is disqualified for 6 years from the date of conviction. This. So for 6 years, the person cannot stand in means contest any such election. From the date of judgment. This. That's why it is important. The date of judgment is important. Right.
अगर नोटिफिकेशन नहीं आता लोकसभा के द्वारा और उस बीच में 2 महीने के बीच में अगर हम कन्विक्शन को स्टॉप कर देते तब तो उनका डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन नहीं होता.
देखो ऐसे भी केस हुआ है कि एक मेंबर इज डिस्क्वालिफाइड एंड अगेन द कोर्ट हैज quashed the conviction and then membership has been revived. One member from this called Union Territory, Lakshadweep. One member of parliament from Lakshadweep, you know that his conviction has been quashed by the court. Yes, but still his membership has not been revived by the parliament. There can be this possibility. This. Anyhow, what we are trying to say, the purpose is that there should be more clarity when you are reading such current developments, especially those developments which have legality and technicalities. This, more we should be sharp on those legality, technicalities, what is conviction, what is sentence, the difference, when disqualification exactly starts, because these things are under debate on that matter. Anyhow, and it is a simple question, by the way, which you have gone.
Sir, the same condition is also applied for the speaker or they have been exempted from disqualification if convicted for more than 2 years. If the speaker is convicted for any crime for a period of more than 2 years, then he may also disqualified from his post or
Yes, as far as my knowledge is concerned, he will be also disqualified. Any member of parliament, this, including a speaker. This. So, you have gone by C. Right.
I have done A.
Right. मीडिया राइट्स क्वासी फेडरल पॉलिटी, इसलिए कि मीडिया बार बार वो सी वाला ऑप्शन नहीं लिख सकती है, इसलिए आपको लगता है कि फेडरल पॉलिटी जो है वो क्वासी फेडरल है. We use the term quasi federal often, or we refer our polity as federal polity as quasi federal polity. We will use it, the term, because it is a very simple way to represent, a generic way to represent. Every time you cannot write Indian federal polity has centralizing tendency. It is a federal polity with centralizing tendency. That's why it is a trap, basically. So people will go by those who have this general understanding. Right. Quasi-federal polity does not indicate the quality of federal polity. It just indicates the mixed nature of federal polity. Quasi means mixed type. It has federal also, unitary also. But it still does not tell where is the tilt. Whether it has a tilt towards unitary, tilt towards federal. So we have a tilt towards federal. In normal times, it is a federal polity, right, with centralizing tendency. Means in normal times, our polity works as federal polity. It has inclination towards federal polity. But its inherent trend, inherent as quality if you take, it is centralizing, because center has been given more powers vis-a-vis states. So that is how this right term is this referred. Many experts gave, constitutional experts also gave you view on federal polity, whether it is quasi-federal polity, it is cooperative federal polity. This, if you have read that debate there, the debate talks, it is sui generis. Federal, it is a federal, let's say flexible federal polity. So by that, if you go, it will come also C. This C, B cannot become the characteristics, and D also cannot become the characteristics, if you have better understanding. So your challenge have been between A and C. This, and that is how you have to take a call on this. Anyhow, I guess my section ends. So that is how we can, let's say that we consider. And as last time I gave emphasis, it's not always at the end of the day that how much knowledge you have, it's at the end of the day that how better you solve the questions. This, because knowledge will always have the limitation. You will always chase UPSC. UPSC will not chase you, isn't it? You have to chase UPSC, and knowledge is always, let's say, anyone cannot say, even we cannot say we have good knowledge. We also learn, you also learn. The only thing is that there is a bit difference between you and us. We are a bit older, you are a bit younger, isn't it? So we have a bit better knowledge, otherwise we are also learning. Right. So that way you can say, and try to, basically when you see current developments, I will say, in current developments, try to read more, let's say, sharp aspects, legal aspects, technical aspects, and read from original source. This original source, that is called ministry websites, ministry documents, government documents. Because they give, when you have a major development, you may read by any source, but once you know that it is a major development, so then you should read it from its original source, because that will give you better legal technical knowledge. And that is how nowadays demand of the UPSC. So all the best. Good evening and good afternoon, both. And the first thing is thank you all. Thank you all, in fact, all those who have appeared today for believing in us, as today was a big challenge to take a decision which test to appear. So we feel happy and feel motivated also. Okay, almost, let's say good, still it is a good appearance that people appeared in our test. So, second thing is that next and the last test we will conduct as per UPSC time. Although we know it consumes your time, but there are requests also at least one test should be conducted as per UPSC time. We are not conducting as per UPSC time to save your time because having 2 hours of gap, it does not make sense. But there are requests and at least one test we should conduct as per UPSC time. So, we'll schedule accordingly, this is what we'll say. Second thing is that before I take any discussion, since you have few days left, let's say, almost let's say that 20 days left for your prelims. So, you may have appeared several such tests. Now you know your strengths and weaknesses, which may be very threadbare clear. Okay, where your strength lies, what are your weaknesses, what are your weak areas. When you have your weak areas which are related to knowledge factor, so this is not a time to basically improve knowledge. That is, let's say that a significant level of knowledge we may not improve. But yes, what we can do is, on the basis of the questions, you see which area you lack, and while reading, let's say why you missed that, and you should now not miss that. Means when you revise it, when you are revising the different sections, so you should focus on that way. This is how the learning from the tests, because it is a layers of preparation basically. Like once you get a basic knowledge, then you get a bit, let's say that intermediate level knowledge, advanced knowledge. So basic knowledge is that you may know about State Information Commission, you know about State Administrative Tribunal, you may know about State Public Service Commission in a sectoral way. That is the basic level knowledge. First time, second time when you read. But suppose we combine and we ask one question in which we ask that in which president does not remove. It is a bit over and above that knowledge. So questions are your level or your preparations, you'll find that they are in that fashion. So the more you focus on those weak areas, because it tends whatever you have and you eliminate, you solve, so that is how it can give you confidence. But you have to rule out more and more your weak areas. Let's say that areas, the number of those weak spots that you have, so how many those weak spots you minimize by the time you appear in prelims. That is how you should focus. And that way you can also revise. Revising the known thing does not make sense. Revising those things which are difficult and which are subjective, which are conceptual, so that will make sense. This we can consider. Then, yes, you should also see which way it works when you attempt. Many a time it may happen you attempt option B, but most of the time option B is incorrect. Many a time some people attempt option C and coincidentally it is correct. It may happen, isn't it? It happens. Then you say he is a lucky person, he is unlucky person. So you have to see this also. It is called metacognition aspect. You try to monitor your own mind and decision. So that way also you can minimize your number of those, let's say when you attempt options, when you are having two options, in those two options you have to select one, and there can be, let's say, time at least 20-30 times like that. You have two options and you are not sure which one is. So you have to take a call. So when you take a call, so which way it goes? So this also you need to monitor so that a bit modification you can do in this B, C or D. Coincidentally it happens in the paper if you see in 100 questions. Either B wala was more correct or C wala was more correct. The way paper is made basically, right? So this way it happens, that can be another aspect. And the next key that key, the way you eliminate, as I say always that key, when you enter in the room, means when you appear in the test, the paper you get in the hand, your knowledge is fixed. Now your smart work, your intelligent work, your common sense, all these things when they play, so they can help you at least improve 2 and 3 questions if you are able to do by that. So 2, 3 questions are huge in UPSC. This. That is how I can say that. Let's take one by one what we can see this. So I guess it may be, you may have done correct. No. Which option you did? Most of? All? Anyone who go by other options? No. All option A. So it is simple question. Okay, good beginning then. Anyhow, so yes, when all are correct, so this is how you know that. We just try to give different types of majority and simple, effective, and this. So basically, when we have president, the president removal demands highest level of special majority. This, so which is not mentioned in this. But this is a special majority, so yes, it is clear the High Court. But President demands highest level of majority, so it was wrong, let's say that. This way you can consider. If you have read seriously, this is how it is. So this way we can say that both Speaker and Vice President, they are removed by effective majority. This. And High Court judge is removed by special majority. President is also removed by special majority, but in special majority there are different categories. This. And no functionary is removed by simple majority. This. No functionary is removed by simple majority. Simple majority is that it's present and voting majority. Minimum quorum is 1/10 members. Plus, still those who have problem, we have given detailed explanation of different types of majority. You can read it. Yes, this is a bit understanding this question. So, which option you went? Yes, B. B. Right. B option. What is B option? 2 and 3. So why you are not going by 1? 1 means why you take it incorrect? Yes. See, these are all general statements. First you should know that. When there is a subjective question, they are all general statements. Now, it is due to parliamentary democracy, yes. अगर presidential होता है मान लो presidential है, तो एक ही head होगा. तो एक ही हेड होगा और रिटन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है तो उसके बारे में मेंशन तो होगा ना कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में. लेकिन जब पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी है तो उसमें एक फॉर्मल हेड होता है, एक रियल हेड होता है. अब देन आप किसको मेंशन करेंगे, विच पावर यू शुड मेंशन. अगर ये गलत होगा तो बाकी के 2 भी गलत होंगे ना. बिकॉज पार्लियामेंट्री डेमोक्रेसी वर्क्स ऑन द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ डुअल हेड्स. दिस यू कैन से दैट. So it is a general, it is due to, but ऐसा कुछ लिखा नहीं है. It's not written in the constitution. These are all presumptions. These are all based on understanding. Right. So it is because of that. All the 3 statements are correct. Right. So this. So simple. Right. Which option you did? A option, all. All people did. You did B. B.
Yes, sir.
B for Bombay.
Yes, sir.
You did it B also. अच्छी बात है. ठीक है. तो direct question है, isn't it? It's a direct question. It is just testing your how seriously you study. Basically, when there are direct questions and they're based on basically factual, you can say, not factual, but basically they are testing your sharp knowledge. It basically tests your seriousness. First, ki how seriously you study, and second, ki how you retain it, or at least how you recognize it. Are you able to recognize and eliminate? Right, because there are 3 R generally we say that this UPSC is for 3 R. One is for prelims is for recognition. Right, this you can say that. Mains is for recall, and interview is for reaction. Yes. So it is recognition. What recognition? At least once something has gone before your eyes, so once you get a paper, you can recognize it is right or wrong. This is how the paper is. So that way, let's say that. Anyhow, we tested some basic things. This time we also asked some questions related to fundamental rights, because in other tests we have not asked much. That was also a purpose, let's say. So here it is the first 3 are the basis for regulation of right to freedom, means freedom related to religion. Yes. This question, this option, B option. Provision established is only optional, not B option. All of you have gone B? Right. Yes. A option. Right. Anyhow, since it is in news, you know that lots of things have happened on internet. What we talk about, National Court of Appeal. There should be a court of appeal. So when court of appeal, so you have to set up in 4 different centers. Appellate Supreme Court, you will set up its benches. So then how it should be created? Basically, seat of Supreme Court is in Delhi. It is mentioned in the Constitution. And there can be seat other places also. But how it can be, the Chief Justice of India can decide. But while deciding, he will have to take the view of President. It is mandatory to seek the view of President. But it is not mandatory to create a bench of Supreme Court elsewhere. It is optional, not compulsory. Anyhow, when question is saying whatever, let's say that it is correct, we have to find. So we have structured in such a way that they are incorrect. Only one will be correct. This. So that way, let's say if you see this Chief Justice consultation go on, such consultation is discretionary. That is how we have changed. It is mandatory, not discretionary. Then provision to establish, already we have told that it is optional, not compulsory. अगर ये optional नहीं, compulsory होता है तभी तक Supreme Court के होते benches. ऐसे भी आप सेंस बना सकते थे अगर जिसने दूसरा ऑप्शन लिया है, isn't it? And other places of this decided by Chief Justice, and there is no need to consult. Right. We demanded a bit knowledge कि whether consultation is needed. और पार्लियामेंट कभी चीफ जस्टिस से कंसल्ट करेगा नहीं, ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है. Do you think Parliament consults someone? Right. There is no any place in our polity where Parliament will consult someone. ऐसा कोई provision नहीं होता है. President consults, government consults, Parliament as an institution will not consult. There is no such provision. So we could have eliminated, applied common sense also, then you could have done correct. B option. Anyhow, so this option, C, A, there, there, C, A, there. So why A you are doing? Who is doing A? Why you are doing A? Yes, फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज इफ यू रीड, तो जैसे ही फंडामेंटल ड्यूटी पढ़ोगे 2 लाइन के बाद यही आता है. It is moral and civic right, isn't it? If you read any literature, after 2-3 lines they will write this. Anyhow, yes, they represent sort of codification of, yes. What question says incorrect? So D, they are only confined to citizens and don't extend to foreigners. देखो ड्यूटीज फॉरेनर्स क्यों परफॉर्म करेगा? फॉरेनर्स आपके नेशनल फ्लैग को क्यों सैल्यूट करेगा? ऐसे भी कॉमन सेंस लगाओ ना. दैट इज हाउ वी टोल्ड कॉमन सेंस. मान लो यू डू नॉट नो, ठीक है, नाउ यू हैव टू अप्लाई योर इंटेलिजेंस एंड कॉमन सेंस. So then think what is in those fundamental duties. The national anthem, national flag. तो एक फॉरेनर का कोई ड्यूटी होना चाहिए हमारे नेशनल फ्लैग के लिए? नहीं, उसका कोई मोरल ऑब्लिगेशन नहीं होगा ना. नहीं तो फिर तो पता ही है क्या होगा, डिवाइडेड हो जाए, उसके देश वाले निकाल देंगे उसको. So वैसे भी सोचोगे तो ये नहीं होगा. रेड बेसिकली ये एक टेक्निकल लाइन है जिसपे आपको सोचना चाहिए while reading. राइट, इट इज ए टेक्निकल लाइन. जो भी टेक्निकल होता है वही डिफरेंस क्रिएट करता है. तो टेक्निकल लाइन क्या है कि दे आर नाइदर जस्टिसिएबल. यस, इट इज क्लियर, फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज आर नॉट जस्टिसिएबल. बट देन द अदर लाइन इज नॉर एनफोर्सेबल बाय लॉ. Then you remember recently it was enforced in the theatre, national anthem. Use common sense, isn't it? That is how it is not right. The first part is correct, the second part is incorrect, and that's why it is incorrect. That way you should know. It means when you have not read fundamental duties, seriously, go and again read it seriously. And now you will find more technical points in fundamental duties, right? This question is a risky question, to take risk basically. Out of box, we keep it. People will have less knowledge, only those who have thorough knowledge in polity they can understand, isn't it?
Then the second part.
Yes, yes.
Second part के बारे में idea नहीं.
This is how I told that. It is an out of box question. Right. So a random out of box, you have to take risk, isn't it?
Time के लिए शायद यूपी के सीएम.
Right. Anyhow, so let's say that कि it is, yes, ऑलरेडी एक पहला एक क्वेश्चन है वो भी फेस कर चुके हो, थोड़ा सा वार्म अप हो चुका होगा प्राइम मिनिस्टर और प्रेसिडेंट की तरफ. व्हेन द क्वेश्चन इज टॉकिंग लेट्स से अबाउट प्राइम मिनिस्टर, सो यस इट इज ट्रू दैट कि डिटेल्स ऑफ, इफ यू हैव रेड पॉलिटी एंड यू हैव रेड क्वालिफिकेशंस ऑफ डिफरेंट फंक्शनरीज, देयर आर सम फंक्शनरीज about whom constitution does not give much details. This including even governor also qualification has not been given. You should be aware about these things. Qualification. So what are the functionaries where, let's say their qualifications are very clear. What are the functionaries their qualifications are not clear. So let me tell by this fact that if you have Union Finance Commission, its qualifications are clearly defined. If you take CAG, its qualification is not defined. If you take Election Commission, its qualification is not defined. If you take State Finance Commission, its qualification is not defined. This judges, though, there is a general level qualification. 5 years of judge, 10 years of advocate. This is how we mean by it. So that way you should have gone if you have read it all. So anyone can become Prime Minister. Yes, it is true that either house, and within 6 months, at least this you may be knowing. Right. Whether it is written or not, that you may not be knowing, but at least you know that yes, he should become, any person should become 6 months. So that much is enough to take decision. Right. Then basically it happened. Chaudhary Charan Singh became Prime Minister, and before 6 months he had to resign. This is how. Then Morarji Desai became Prime Minister. So that is how it happened that he became Prime Minister of our country without becoming member of either house. So both are correct basically. The C option is correct. Then this question. C. All.
UPSC
Previous
previous year question.
year question.
Actually, a little bit like modified, but the essence was like in UPSC.
Okay, right. Right. So all C. Yes. Right. Because that way also we try to see we judge ourselves also, ki simple, difficult, what nature of question. If all have gone C, it is good level, you have knowledge about emergency. Right. Isn't it? Emergency provisions. So basically there are process of, what you have to know in emergency? The process of emergency, effects of emergency. This is how you have to know. Now, process of emergency and effects of emergency have also been amended by 44th Amendment Act. This also you have to know, although the question is not going to be asked ki which of the things were added. That उस तरह से question अभी तक तो आता नहीं है. But yes, you should know the process, you should know the effects. Some effects are automatic. No, some effects are automatic and some effects for that you have to take decision. Some fundamental rights can be suspended automatically. But to suspend some other, president has to issue order, presidential order. Similarly, constitutional remedy is also suspended. The president can suspend a constitutional remedy going to court, but by 44th we added that in case of 2021 you cannot suspend, let's say, liberty of people. Under that, people can seek constitutional remedy. Then effects, let's say, related to state governments, state government, state legislature. So since it is a national emergency which has nothing to do with government of the state, because the causes of national emergency are different: war, external aggression, armed rebellion. It has nothing to do with government of the state. So there is no question of dissolution of council of minister or legislature. But take president's rule. So when there is president's rule, in president's rule the first thing happen is council of minister is dissolved. That is how the difference. That's why this option we kept, whether students are able to remember or figure it out, the different aspects of effects. So that is what we can say. So it is option C which will be considered, as there is no any effect on this, and there is effect on the life of our Lok Sabha. Basically parliament, let's say, it can be extended to indefinite period of time, at a time by 1 year. Anyhow, it's good at that level you know, and it is simple. This national emergency. Then next. So what we have gone for? A, what it says, correct option. So we have to find correct. Option A. C. Let's say an election is a tool of direct democracy. ऐसा तो है नहीं. Right. Election is not a tool of direct democracy, right? नहीं तो हमारे यहाँ डायरेक्ट डेमोक्रेसी होना चाहिए ना. Let's come one by one. Election is not a tool of direct democracy. Election is a tool of democracy. That can be direct or indirect. Isn't it? So one is incorrect. तो वैसे ही 1 and C out. Right. Then you have to see B and D. So you have to take a call कि 4 है कि नहीं. So don't read 3, directly read 4. आपको एग्जाम में तो ऐसे ही करना पड़ेगा ना, टाइम सेव होगा. नॉलेज तो दिखाना नहीं है. You don't have to show knowledge. If 3 is common, don't read it. Read 4th one. Now, unlike elections, referendum are always held at pan-national level. ऐसा तो होगा नहीं. No. Apply some common senses. कभी कभी बात होती है कि जम्मू एंड कश्मीर में रेफरेंडम हो जाए. होती है. वो प्लेबिसाइट होता है, बट इन जनरल लैंग्वेज में रेफरेंडम भी बोलते हैं. Right. Plebiscite, referendum, there are differences. But let's say this is how you can consider. So, it is also the way elections can be held in parts, referendum can also be held in parts. Referendum are always held at pan-national level. So, 4 is incorrect. The option क्या बचा? 2 and? Let's first explain it. I will take your question. Now, the executive head of the state is indirectly elected. Yes, it is the president. President is the executive head. तब तो पढ़ना ही नहीं है. This is how can say. Vote can yes or no. यही तो होगा. Cannot से तो होता नहीं है option. Anyhow, what we have done is that we have taken at least 2 questions or 3 questions from NCERT. We wanted to have some basic questions also. So, basically it is NCERT, let's say. It is NCERT language also. It is NCERT source also. Yes, now ask.
Sir, direct democracy only लिखा होता था पहला direct democracy होता था election होता ही direct.
Right. नहीं. See, वो एक exception है. वो rule नहीं है. Right. The election is the basis for democracy. ये होता है obvious sentence. Right. Election is the basis for direct democracy. ये exception होता है. This. It is because of that. Yes. Election. Yes. Anything that is obvious and anything that is exception. That is the basis. No. Since we told you that it is NCERT, so NCERT language it is. This. When NCERT writes, you know, you have to, then we have to question the authority of NCERT. That's why I told, right? It is the NCERT language. Right. So it is correct because it is obvious, let's say. You see obvious aspect. Many a time when we write, see generic sentence, general sentences are going more on the obvious aspect. They may not be absolutely correct. This also we can have in mind. Because, and that option is not there no, in this question. Right. Suppose first you take, right? Anyhow, right. Although let's say that, then although 1 is there, but it is difficult to go by this because it is not obvious. You read it, even in preamble when you see democracy. It is a election is the basis for democracy. It is not a tool of direct democracy, which is very exception. Only one country has direct democracy, Switzerland. So that cannot be the rule. And we in our country, in some states like Madhya Pradesh, at local level has system of recall. Right. This. Similarly, it is this question. So I guess correct. D. You are going by D. B. अच्छा जी, इसमें भी डाउट है. Again, it is NCERT language. So, constitution. Now you may have problem with political community, rational community. This is how it is. Right. Constitution is social, political and legal document. This you should know. NCERT writes, Constitution is social, political and legal document. Now, expresses it is social. The philosophical aspect of the Constitution, it says identities and values. That identity and values are related to, let's say, social part. Preamble you can say, DPSP you can say. But largely they are also linked to Indian philosophy. Declare, define, yes, it talks about the boundaries, right? Political boundaries, territory, country, let's say that. And then it defines the powers of the political authority. That's why all the options are correct options. Yes. Territory of India. Right. What is India? So, union territories. The India is union, right? Union of states and union territory. What is Article 1, 2, 3, 4? Isn't it? Right. Boundaries of political community, let's say. कोई भी state है, India as a state, government का sovereignty कहाँ पे होगा? When you say sovereign body, no, what does it mean? The sovereignty, the law apply to our own boundaries. So that way we can say this. Not that these things are clearly inscribed. Rather, these are again general statements. Right? This question, you were clear? Clear. A. Right. Why not second statement? Yes. You got the trick basically, let's say that. We structured that, it is a bit to trick you, but I guess you have, right. Good that you can think that level, this is how, good level. Good thinking, by the way, when you have. No, the first part is correct. What question is saying? You have to see correct. So this one is correct, this is incorrect. Because it is written not. This, because punitive detention is also on the basis that when you have attempted to do any crime. आपने किसी को murder करने गया लेकिन murder नहीं कर पाए. Sorry. Right. So someone has gone and attempted to do murder. Right. So this is how has attempted to commit a crime. Right. So that you can take. So yes, first option, second is incorrect. Now they are a bit, which option you have gone by the way? A. All. A option. C. Any other? Right. It is a subjective and understanding based question, and then we change it. Generally questions are asked on CAG, constitutional body, role, power, functions, this and that. We just chose to ask on that, let's say, controller aspect. So controller means power of disallowance. This is how you should know that. Power of disallowance means authority to disallow any such expenditure. This. So UK, US, CAG, they have the power to disallow any such expenditure. Means in their country it is a system. Basically how to understand. So let's understand this, that any democratic country has legislature and executive. Executive has to get authorized its expenditure from legislature. That is called budget. Once budget is authorized by the legislature, then budget is under the control of Ministry of Finance in our country. But in other countries it is not necessarily the Department of Finance. It can be Treasury, It can be, let's say that any other authority like CAG. So this is how you know that in our country budget is after passing of parliament under control of Ministry of Finance. And Ministry of Finance then sanctions budget to different departments. Parliament has authorized. Now departments cannot get their budget. Rather they have to seek approval from Ministry of Finance. And every quarter Ministry of Finance sanctions it. Means it's sanctioned for 1 quarter. Once you spend it, you submit a memorandum to Ministry of Finance, and then if it is satisfied, it will give you second quarter fund to you. And you may have heard about March rush phenomenon. In past it used to be March rush because government gave almost full expenditure in one go. But departments would not spend, they would spend towards March. Now, this is how you understand. So in our country, it is the Ministry of Finance which has the authority after Parliament to give sanction to any such expenditure. This, and it can deny that expenditure. You know, recently government denied expenditure to Manrega to West Bengal. This, that authority is with Ministry of. Now the same authority in UK is with CAG.
Earlier, CAG had dual roles, controlling also and auditing also. That was changed.
Yes, if you say CAG history, so CAG history goes to 1858, right? CAG at times it was known as Comptroller and Auditor General. At times it was known as only Auditor General, right? So there was mixed practice before independence. That it had controller power, it did not have controller power. After independence, it has only one aspect. It has no controller power. That should be clear. After independence, we have not given controller power, although the designation we have adopted. Right? That is how, let's say, it happens. Now, other three are just trap. They are not, let's say that. What it says, CAG recommends binding हो ही नहीं सकता है, किसी भी देश में binding नहीं हो सकता है ना. You need to understand. कोई भी एक institution है, बहुत ही रेयर केस में ऐसा होगा कि किसी डेमोक्रेसी में उसका रिकमेंडेशन बाइंडिंग होगा. अदर जैसे ही आप रिकमेंडेशन बाइंडिंग, द डे यू मेक द एनी इंस्टीट्यूशन रिकमेंडेशन बाइंडिंग, इट बिकम्स अनदर गवर्नमेंट parallel to elected government. That's why this authority is not given. Right? Any such commission institution should not have, you should not write also in men's examination. People keep writing all these things. This decision should be made binding. You cannot make committee, commissions, institutions decision binding. Otherwise it will become a parallel government. Only elected government has the authority to take a decision because it is elected. Hence, CAG, there is no basis for this. Then, question policy. Then our CAG can also question policy, you know that. Even if CAG does not have controller power, but CAG does three types of audit: regulatory, legal regulatory, financial, and proprietary audit. In proprietary audit, it can question the policy of the government. This. So it has, even our CAG can question, and Consolidated Fund of India, it is not necessary. It has nothing to do with whether CAG has disallowance power or not. Rather, it is a system that we have mentioned in explanation. If you read, in UK, the fund is with Bank of England. The fund, consolidated fund, is kept with Bank of England, not with CAG. This. So that is how we can consider it. So that is how, let's say, option A was correct. That simple question or simplest?
What is asking a question? So मैं पावर को इससे मेक कर दिया क्या
क्या? Which one you are talking? CAG? CAG वाला question. तो इसीलिए वो दिया ही गया है कि confusion create करे आपको. कुछ तो question होना चाहिए. Yes, some questions are designed in such a way that you feel complex. Yes, जो भी question, any question which is complex, it is a very simple question if you know. That's why you should not panic when you get a complex question because it has a simple solution. Right?
It's the only difference between UK and this.
Yes. What you are doing there?
C.
C. Any other? Right. Any other option? No. The most of them have gone D option. Yes, it is correct. D option. Try to understand. Right. Legislative bodies. राइट, तो वो पार्लियामेंट के बॉडीज हैं. वो भी मीनिंग हो सकता है. राइट. राइट. ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. लेजिस्लेटिव बॉडीज मतलब कि वो लेजिस्लेचर का बॉडी है, ना कि वो लेजिस्लेट करने वाला बॉडी है. ये भी तो मीनिंग होगा ना. No. Right. Right. All those bodies which help legislature, they will be considered legislative bodies. All those bodies which help executive, we'll say them executive bodies. Do we say? Niti Aayog is an executive body. It is not elected institution. How then आपका logic लगाएंगे तो नहीं होगा फिर. नहीं. Yes. Yes. नहीं. No. Try to understand. Take a broader aspect. You are taking narrow aspect. Committees are mini replication of parliament. बोला जाता है. All rules, process, privileges are applied to committees. And contempt of committee is also contempt of house. आप ऐसे समझो ना broader aspect पर. Right. So it is a legislative body. Any body which is helping an institution, so that will have character of that body. Yes, this. Now, why it is not constitutional? Because it is not mentioned in constitution. Executive हो ही नहीं सकता है इसलिए कि separation of power है. Right. Executive does not create. There is separation of power. No? So they are not created by executive order. They are created by the speaker, means it is created by the house of the parliament on as per the business rules of the committee. And those business rules have the constitutional recognition of Article 118. This. So since they are created under business rules, so they are not also statutory. Statutory तो होगा, it will become statutory only when, let's say that कि you have, it becomes statutory only when you create by bill. Unless you introduce a bill, it cannot be statutory body. This you have to understand. No, it's not that way. Statute means law, act, and an act is nothing but bill when it is passed. Right. Any other things cannot be act. It cannot be statute. A law or act will only become when you pass by parliament or ordinance. This, but the committees are not created by ordinance or act of. The option was left with legislative bodies. Right. That is out the option. Anyhow, again we have asked covering, let's say, so we are trying to cover all those things which are not generally asked. So furlough is a kind of payroll, but there is a difference between payroll and furlough. This, and then in this D option is correct, or the first three are not correct, because it cannot be a legal right. Rather, it depends on the court. When it depends on the court, it cannot be mandatory. Court will decide कि in which case to give, in which case to not give. Then it is mandatory, हो ही नहीं सकता है. This, so generally it is given to maintain social relation, family relation, social relation, since it is when anyone has got a long imprisonment. Parole is basically for a short term imprisonment that you can be, but this is for a long term. Let's say 20 years of imprisonment. So that may result into complete dissociation from your family life, social life, which can have a very negative consequence on you. So to save you from that aspect, that is how government, courts decide on this furlough given, as per this Prison Act. Further you can read from the
Can we allow for those who present in the under trial, sir?
Yes.
जो अभी under trial होते हैं उन पे
No.
only उसपे ना?
How can? Only those who are convict. Yes, there are some conditions. पैरोल होता है कि जैसे कोई मैरिज है उसके लिए है या कुछ इमरजेंसी है उसके लिए है. Right. Parole is also not a legal right. No. Yes. नहीं वो तो डिडक्ट होगा ना फिर. Yes. This. And the,
Legal right and control.
yes.
Means court can be denied or
Court, yes, generally depends on not court, it is the authority होते हैं उसके. Authority जैसे prison authority जो होता है वो decide करता है, तो depends on them. This. And अगर the party has any problem, then they go to the court. Right. It is executive decision, by the way. When you have to give parole or this, you have to give. It is executive decision. That is how in Bilkis Bano, state government take the decision. They have the policy related to. It is the executive decision, not court decision. But when a aggrieved party has any, let's say that problem, then they go to the court. Which option? It is perhaps very lengthy option. Question also, option also. Anyhow, but all the four options give you knowledge about Monetary Policy Committee. This. Anyhow, some questions are kept deliberately a bit complex. This you should know that. It takes time in reading out. Anyhow, let's go by this. So, explanations given, you can read in details. What we are saying is statutory recognition, it is correct. Because you know that RBI Act 1935 was amended. To create Monetary Policy Committee, government amended RBI Act 1934. So it is a statutory recognition. In this option, problem could have been with this. Because you know less about this. Right? Hence, monetary policy framework has also statutory recognition. This. Then three nominees are, let's say, yes, they are appointed by such, headed by cabinet secretary. So we also are trying to give you information by this, how they are appointed. Then it is incorrect. Suppose you do not know this, no? You read this. If you have knowledge about that, no, you can figure it out. This. So even if it is complex, taking time, but as soon as you come here, you can eliminate your option. Can we say? Let's say that who sets monetary policy, means inflation target? Who sets? Poor knowledge. Government sets the inflation target. This. Yes, the government in consultation with RBI sets the inflation target. And Monetary Policy Committee achieves that target. Yes. So that's why option C was incorrect. And it is correct. So this A, B and D are for information. Plus if you read explanation, it is complete. If you lack knowledge, so that way you can improve on this. So that is how you should do it. So today I took a bit more time. No. So let's enjoy, other people will take discussion. So good afternoon everyone. So how are you? Fine. How was paper? Paper tough. Yes, it is deliberately done, but paper tough bhi hona chahiye, isn't it? And UPSC paper is toughest. This, because ultimately you have to crack that one, isn't it? So from their comparison, it is nothing. This, because their paper is essence of everything and combination of everything, all the things which we can think and prepare. So that way you should take it. We have tried to ask questions from all those areas, means cover as far as possible, which were in news. And not only that, news in the sense that only asking that news, rather by that news we have tried to cover the conventional section. This, not necessarily current. Like say that we ask one question related to Ladakh area, tribal council. So we have asked a conventional question, but it was in news, it is in news. The news we have not asked. Similarly, there can be many other aspects. Like say one Jain temple was in news recently. So we have asked history related, I guess, question on that instead of asking news. So that way we have tried to cover, let's say, all those things as far as possible, because there are 5 tests only. Then there are limitations, but we have tried in that way to cover most of those things which we can think that there can be a possibility of question, or if at all, so you should know that. So that way it can be tough, because suppose you do not know about tribal district council, schedule 5, schedule 6 very clearly, so when a question is asked on that, so it results into challenge. But now when you have gone through that, suppose the 5 tests you have, at least if the benefit is not, means the benefit is that you will be able to improve your knowledge. And when you appear in UPSC Prelims, so then that time you have a good, let's say that, a very broad footing of your preparation. Because when you, let's say that, try to ask all those different things, so that takes you to that level. So that is how the purpose. Here it may appear, but yes, we guess when you appear in UPSC, so it can help you, and it can help you in improving that. This is how the approach. So let's take that, my section of questions. So the first question is related to that. So which option we have got? Correct option. Since there are only 2 options, it is asking correct. Which one is correct? This. So were you able to identify correct option? Right. It has the recognition of the constitution and has been. It is not correct, isn't it? If it is correct, then why there would have been demand? You should have thought like this. No? If you are aware about the Ladakh area demand, that they should be brought in Schedule 6. This. And if you know Schedule 6, how the tribal district councils are created in the 4 states, so, and Ladakh is demanding, it means they are not part of Schedule 6. So when they are not part of Schedule 6, so it is not part of Constitution. That way you should have applied your a bit intelligence and common sense. It is an act rather than Government of India brought an act in 1997 to create a Ladakh Autonomous Region Council. In 1997, this. So there is a council similar to council in those 4 states, but This council is a statutory body created by Act in 1997. Plus, since it is not a constitutional body as per Schedule 6, hence it will not enjoy power similar to Schedule 6. That's why they are demanding. Otherwise, they will not demand. And there is a condition. The condition is that if any state has a minimum population of 50% of scheduled tribe, so that is how it can be declared as, it can get its status of Schedule 6. Ladakh has 90% population as scheduled tribe. This. Further details you see explanation. In explanation we have given other details. It can address your knowledge. It enjoys the same power. Yes, it does not enjoy the same power. Right. This. So I guess in this neither D option will go, isn't it? It does not enjoy the same power. This. Why? It has been given only administrative powers, but the 4 states under Schedule 6, they have legislative powers also. They can make some rules, you can say that, related to their area. They have some legislative powers also. That is the major difference. But as of now, when we have given the status of, we have autonomous council we have set up, it has only administrative power to regulate some affairs in Ladakh. And in that Ladakh, Leh and Kargil both comes. You should know this. So that is how D option will be in this question. Then just a random question, no gambling. Right. Anyhow, we wanted to ask in that way. To which option you have gone? Right. In this, which option you have gone? It is just a gambling, isn't it? But Central Vigilance Commission is not under, Central Vigilance Commission is under the purview of RTI. The first 3 are not under purview of RTI. This. First 3 are not under purview of RTI. This. And the Central Vigilance Commission is part of RTI. Why? The Central Vigilance Commission is not a security agency and not a paramilitary force. This. It is not its intelligence aspect, security aspect and paramilitary force. Under Section 8, which category of institutions have been barred? Those who deal with security, paramilitary forces and intelligence. Since basically the first 3 deal directly, indirectly with security, this, because anti-corruption, crime and etc., terrorism, counterfeiting and money laundering. So that's why they have been brought under Section 8 and RTI has been barred. Right. So there is a list of, let's say, institutions, right, like UPSC comes under RTI, Lokpal will come under RTI, CVC will come under RTI, because they are not security related institutions. And that is how, let's say that this, it is just a random. If you see the explanation, we have given you list of institutions. The list of institutions, in that we can find which institutions are not part of the, which institutions are not part of the list coming under Section 8, means they have been barred from RTI purview. If you see the explanation. It is again a question we have asked. Basically, we find at times in prelims paper a question related to committee or commission. That is how the idea we have. So in test 1 also we ask a question, right? We did not want to often repeat it, but then in other tests we did not ask, but in this test again we ask a question related to committee or commission. So the purpose was to just to ask, that will be a very random way. So we asked this time National Commission to review the working of Constitution. It has recommended to change the name of DPSPs from DPSP to DPSP and Action. so that it will enhance the commitments of states, government to take and make policies, take action. That is how the relevance. And then again it is a GK type of knowledge, no, GK type of question. We try to blend all different sort of, let's say. And since you do not read in that way also, basically, this is how I know that. Okay, so I guess it is again, you have to guess it. No, what you guessed? PMO. Right. Cabinet. Right. First thing clarity is that we have written ministries and departments. Right. So the two are, let's say basically two have written ministries and two have status of department. Yes. So you should not suppose anyone think that how PMO is a department, so just for knowledge. PMO, Cabinet Secretariat, they are given a status of an independent department as per the business rules of the government. Right? Now, it is Cabinet Secretariat. This. So, in test 1 we asked question related to cabinet rank status. Right. So, we wanted to ask another question somehow related to Cabinet Secretariat. So, we have given an explanation a bit more detail. In Cabinet Secretariat, what are other institutions which come? It is one, this is called Office of Principal Scientific Advisor, which was created in 1999. Since then it is in existence. Similarly, let's say that DBT department, DBT is also under Cabinet Secretariat. This and Directorate of Public Grievance is another office under this, and let's say that Chemical Weapon Convention. It was created also in 1997. These are the 4 departments, means 4 organizations in Cabinet Secretariat. This, it is just. Then we wanted to ask some legal questions from, let's say that legal aspect, because UPSC has developed a habit of asking laws, rules, isn't it? So we wanted to cover some other topics, let's say. So we asked this question, and I guess if you read this question, so you can eliminate your option, is it? How do you say this question? Option D, 1, 2, 3. Yes. It deals with, isn't it? We try to create a bit trouble by adding child pornography. Right? Because those who are not, let's say they have not given serious attention, so they may get a bit, deal karta hai ki nahi. No, so that is how the only tricks are, but it deals with child pornography also. Then there is age of consent. You may be aware in recent times the debate has been going on when it was amended in 2019. This was one such you have to take a call, right? You may not be aware whether it is National Commission for Protection of Child Right, whether it is responsible or so now you have to take a call. So take a call means, you see we have given 1 and 2 also. 1 and 2 is given also, right? 1, 2, 3 is also. So take a risk. What risk? Risk is that since it is related to children and there is a commission, National Commission for Protecting Child Rights, so take a guess that it would be, or it may have been given this power. That is how the risk you have to take. So prelims paper is also risk taking. Right. Another odd type of question. So yes, this time we tried, since it was last test, we tried to cover those random things which we think that generally so far they have not been asked by UPSC. This. Yes, that is how, because somehow it is related to say children, it is related. Since it is related to child rights, so there will be a commission. After all, that commission may have been given some role and function. So that way also you can relate it. So that was the idea, we can say this. Now this is a bit, let's say that ki random question and as well as challenging question, no doubt. So trust, if you are aware about trust, first statement will go correct, because trusts are generally created to manage some assets. Assets can be related to religious, non-religious aspect. This. Then if you have read, this is also a purpose to cover subjects, right? Subjects in Schedule 7. So if those who will not correct it, at least they will go and see it at least once, isn't it? So this is how the idea to cover that also. Schedule 7 list, because in past they have asked questions, so that will test your knowledge. It is correct also, it is mentioned in concurrent list. And then this one is something tricky. Now this you may be aware. No, the fourth statement you may be aware. This, because PM is the ex officio chairperson, since it has been news, and CSR is part of this, because that is how in COVID crisis it happened. CSR was also added part of the PM Care Fund. So basically, if you are aware about the certain developments in recent past, so then you can cover it. This can be the, let's say, approach. This is also correct. If 1, 2, suppose you do not know this, 1, 2 and 4 correct, isn't it? So 1, 2, 4 ही option में है. So it is asked incorrect. Right. It means 3, isn't it? It is 3, you will find this. 3 is incorrect. Right. That is how we can say. Basically, let's say if you read detailed explanation we have given, it is not Society Registration Act. It is only Registration Act 1909. There is a law called Registration Act. Right. There are different types of law. Bombay Trust Act, Public Trust Act, Religious Endowment Trust Act, Waqf Board, let's say that you have, that Waqf Board that you have, uske liye that you have separate law, and also you have a Society Registration Act, and this is how I have given, and there is also called only Registration Act 1909. The difference between such laws are related to composition, their regulation, their bodies, the bodies that they will create, which body will regulate. So different laws have different level of regulatory standards. That's why they are created under different law. So it is not correct. This you should know that. By the way, we wanted to ask just a question related to PM fund, PM Care Fund. But we also wanted to give you or educate you related to trust. Trust as a body. So if you read the explanation, further you will have a bit more understanding on this. Right? Basically, it is an economic question, but I have kept for my discussion. So have you done it correct? Yes. Have you done it correct?
Yes, sir.
No. Which option is correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A option is correct. What other people? What do you have done? A. Yes. B. Escape kar diya, right? Yes. Basically, we wanted to ask a question related to this strategic disinvestment, disinvestment, or a government policy related to PSUs. This. So, because somehow this has not been covered yet, let's say that. The government came up with one new policy related to PSUs in 2020, although it was announced in 18, in which it has categorized some PSUs as strategic. The 4 sectors have been categorized as strategic, and other sectors have been categorized as non-strategic. Now even in the strategic sector, strategic, basically we were trying to ask a question related to strategic only, but then we change it. So we will give knowledge also on strategic in explanation, that you also know. Strategic is defined as simple that ki change in ownership. Change in ownership, strategic disinvestment is about change in ownership. Government changes the ownership of the PSUs from government hand to private hand. Government has categorized 4 sectors as strategic sector, rest as non-strategic, plus some other sectors have not been part of the policy like Indian Railway. So some public sector enterprises are not part of the policy. And those who are part of the policy, they have categorized strategic sector and non-strategic sector. Non-strategic sector can be completely diluted. Government will privatize, close them, subsidiarize. Right. That is how the government has the policy. Those who are in strategic sector, even in the strategic sector, government will reduce its stake. Right. It will not have even majority shareholding. So then, be it strategic sector or non-strategic sector, the government will have policy of retaining minimum shareholding, not maximum shareholding. And then it is privatization and strategic disinvestment and merger or subsidiarization. Subsidiarization means it will sell a PSU to another PSU. This is called subsidiarization. So it is retaining minimum rather than maximum. That is how option A is, let's say, it is saying somehow written. In this context, not be strategic, not be the strategy. The strategy is option A, right? Then another random question, this is how. Means we have tried to, again I will repeat, cover those things which are not generally covered. This question you have been answering president, governor, legislature, parliament, this and that, isn't it? But this time we try to cover completely new things which have not been covered, let's say that, but they have become important. It is just a matter of time when they will touch such kind of topics. So what you have done in this? Which option? It is incorrect. Which option is incorrect? See, they are extra constitutional. ये तो सही होगा. They can be empowered to take. कैबिनेट को कौन ओवरराइड कर सकता है? Right. You should think that can we create a parallel body which can override cabinet? Even if you suppose you do not know, that is called common sense and wisdom. You should apply that. Can we create an institution which can override cabinet? No, cabinet is the apex decision making body. So then this is how you should have tried to address the even by that way, because they are generally constituted by prime minister. So when you have added generally, right. When we have added generally, so you have already given a message of it is a correct option. Right. So when they try to make the statements which are subjective, so generally take it that it may be correct. Right. Basically, let's say that they cannot override. They can take decisions, some of them, because we have group of ministers and empowered group of ministers. Those which are empowered group of ministers, they can take decision but subject to overriding power of cabinet. This. As far as their constitution is concerned, prime minister constitutes under the rules of the business of the government. They are extra constitutional, they are ad hoc also, they can be, let's say that discontinued, you can create today, tomorrow you can discontinue. Generally their members are cabinet members. So the way it has been structured, they usually consist. Again, let's say you cannot doubt on that because it gives subjectivity. So that way you should have made this C option, right? Then in one, let's say again, a knowledge based question we have asked, right? We wanted to ask a question related to ordinance, Right. So which option we have done? B option. So it is saying correct. Should be invoked only in the extreme emergency. Yes, B option? No. All? No. So what we have done? A option. Right. How can it be? Each and every, let's say, each and every proclamation of ordinance is subject not necessary, isn't it? It is not necessary that each and every ordinance will be subject to judicial review. ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है, right? And it is a very plain statement, isn't it? Correct? It appears. अगर if you have read this, don't try to take mark. You try to read B also. If you read B, you have knowledge. So this is how it is correct. So you don't have to even read C and D. If you are sure about this, it is in extreme urgency. It is, and then any act of reformation ordinance can be declared. ऐसा नहीं है. This and D is it correct. By ordinance, we cannot amend any law. You know this? Means we cannot amend constitution. By ordinance, constitution is not amended. This is limitation of ordinance. First. Second, if you see in this that why this repromulgation wala we have brought. So recently there are, let's say there is Krishna Kumar Singh judgment, 2017. In that the Supreme Court had told that any repromulgation is a fraud on constitution. This, but it did not override Wadhwa judgment, DC Wadhwa judgment, and DC Wadhwa judgment has allowed repromulgation. It went on speaking that it is unconstitutional. Right? Any repromulgation is unconstitutional, but it did not write the judgment and override DC Wadhwa judgment. Since it did not override DC Wadhwa judgment, which has said that repromulgation is lawful, hence this judgment, even if they have given, but that judgment continues, because that judgment would be of larger bench. You can override DC Wadhwa only by a larger bench. This is the technicality. Right. But that technicality, even if you do not know, if you are sure about B option, so you could have made it correct, isn't it? Anyhow, let's take, right. So which option you have got? D option. Yes, D option, B option, A option, B option. 1 and 2 only. Right. It's D option. D. Yes. देखो जब आप 2 पे जा रहे हो ना तो ये तो 3 and 4 तो होना ही, अरे 3 तो आएगा ही आएगा. जब सेकेंड एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हो, जबकि वी वर डाउटफुल अबाउट सेकेंड कि यू विल नॉट कंसिडर सेकेंड, बट आई फाइंड कि यू आर कंसिडरिंग सेकेंड. तो व्हेन यू कंसिडर सेकेंड, द थर्ड इज द वेरी राइट essential point. So if you go by first, second and third also, the first, second, third we have option. Automatically it is the yes, yes, yes. अरे वो UPSC की बात मत करो. Supreme Court is the final interpreter of law. Yes, who is saying कि no, it is not? कोचिंग थोड़े अथेंटिकेट कर सकता है. बेन हमारा कोचिंग भी नहीं अथेंटिकेट कर सकता. Who are we? Judiciary is the final interpreter of law. इसमें भी क्या डाउट है? अब नया पॉलिटी पढ़ाना पड़ेगा. No, no, it's not like that. अभी जो डिबेट चल रहा था, आप सुनो, अभी जो डिबेट चल रहा था, when the debate was going on and vice president and law minister they have spoken even by 9th schedule. Do you know what judges have spoken? Informally. The judge role is to interpret law and it has a final say, and then government will have to accept it, whether you like it or not, because somewhere the buck should stop. This is how they have spoken. It is. So, it is the final interpreter of law. This, now it is not subject to acceptance. Right. ऐसे होगा subject to acceptance, तब तो no any interpretation can be accepted. This is not. It is very clear that judiciary is the final interpreter of law and it is the guardian of the constitution. ये कौन बोल सकता है कि नहीं है? Isn't it? It is a very strong point. So this comes federal polity. We were the way we have framed, so we thought कि second point में बच्चों को problem हो सकता है, right? But you do not have a problem, right? You have a problem where the obvious thing is. Yes. Yes. देखो, ऐसे क्वेश्चन जब फ्रेम किए जाते हैं ना, तो वो थोड़े सब्जेक्टिव रखे जाते हैं, नहीं तो बिल्कुल ऑब्वियस हो जाएगा ना. Isn't it? It is testing your understanding. First, second, powers of parliament to amend constitution. So you know that कि parliament has limited powers. It is presumed कि you know this. Right? Powers of parliament to amend constitution. So you know कि parliament has limited power. So it means कि amendability power of the parliament also shows the supremacy of constitution. Right? It was that way. Right? Anyhow, even if you have doubt on 4, first 3 if you have, so the option goes to this. Right? So that way, supremacy means कि anything which ensures that the constitution is ultimate. Right? This, and everything is coming from constitution. If you talk factually, factually it is part 3, article 13, 32, 226. Factually you can say, but factually we cannot frame this sentence. Because article 13 says any law contravening this part would be declared null and void. It is ensuring supremacy of part 3 means supremacy of constitution. And any law of the government should conform to the constitution. This. So that way also it is. Plus this point I will try to elaborate कि federal polity तभी होता है when there is a written document and both derive their power from written document, and that written document should be rigid to be amended so that the federal aspect sanctity is maintained. So that is how we have included this. All the 4 we can say, the D option. Anyhow, let's test your another basic knowledge. No. So which option you have gone? Right. So it says, let me read the correct, you have to say. You have gone C. It cannot question the policy laid down. Okay. Any other? B. It is neither budget estimates only during budget session. Right. This. And any other? No. C option. The C is correct. C is correct? All have done C? No. Yes, C is correct. Other are incorrect, isn't it? See, generally as a healthy convention, ruling party, it is the ruling party, let's say that ki chairman belongs to ruling party. Public account committee chairman belongs to opposition party. That is the healthy convention. Now, it does not scrutinize during budget time, rather it is departmental related standing committees, they scrutinize budget only during session, and it is scrutinized throughout the year. This, and generally ministers cannot become member of committees. You may be obvious on this, because they are part of executive. The option is, so generally committees cannot question policies. You also know this. They cannot question policies, but they can lay down or suggest alternative policies. So that is how it is, C option. Yes, yes, estimate committee starts scrutinizing once budget has been passed. Why? Because the budget estimates that you send for the scrutiny. So when it is sent before, let's say it starts scrutinizing before budget, and when you pass, you may have brought some changes. Right. So then it may not cover that. That's why once it is passed, then it starts scrutinizing. This. Then let's say that I am an out of box question. Right. What option you have gone? C, B, C, A, D. Right. That's why you put the options. Then fairness, C option. Right. Natural justice is about fairness. Right. This is how. Justice as fairness बोला जाता है. This. So we should take a decision that should be fair. Then it is called natural justice, irrespective of who the person is. Hence, any decision that we take, it should be fair. Then the both sides should be duly heard, and a person should not become judge in his or her own case. That is how the three principles we have. Fairness, adequate heard, and we should not become judge in our own case to avoid conflict of interest. So basically, let's say that merit and conflict of interest, they are means to achieve fairness. Right. They are means to achieve fairness is the end, and merit means I should take decision based on how my decision can be fair when I take decision on the basis of objectivity. Merit, objectivity, merit of the case. The merit and conflict of interest we have to avoid. We should not become judge in your own case. So it is like avoiding this conflict of interest for fairness. And equality is not. Equality is more related to rule of law. It is not related to natural justice. Yes, that is distributive justice. Right. So that is how fairness. Right. Then another, let's say, question we try to ask from other aspect. It demands certainly knowledge, but let's take that how you could have done. So it is saying incorrect, right? So which we can say that it is incorrect? Yes. C. देखो आपको सी और डी में कंफ्यूजन होगा तो आपको कॉल लेना होगा. You have to take a call. Now you should know that this, can government, central government be completely excluded? Yes. If you have read Finance Commission, especially 15th Finance Commission, it has given recommendations. Recommendations are also for fast track courts and the other, let's say, courts, judicial infrastructure. Forget about fast track court. Its recommendations also include improving judicial infrastructure at the state level. If you have read that a bit seriously, let's say that report. Or forget about that, you have not read it. What we can say that whether central government can be completely kept away from this. Because it is not possible. Central government, if it wants to give fund, the states will not stop central government. This, the way the central government does not play any role. The way see question is a bit, whenever question is made tough, so they will try to add a weak point and you have to just find that weak point. This, because they also know it is tough question, so we try to keep a weak spot in that, and you have to identify that weak spot. Even if you do not have knowledge, suppose you don't have knowledge, right? But you know that you know it cannot be. You could have gone with D. The first three are correct. It is mandatory to create family court in a city which has 1 in million plus population as per Family Court Act 1984. अब देखो मैंडेटरी का मतलब ये नहीं है कि नहीं क्रिएट करेगा तो कुछ होगा, ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है, राइट. 73rd amendment has also some mandatory provisions, but do they create? Especially district planning committee. So it is not, it is a language that you have to know. So yes, it is mandatory, it is for expeditious settlement, and this is how the law. So that way you should know this.